Peak fight week is this week because our friend Leon Edwards is fighting this week in the main event of another stacked UK card. The UFC seems to love the UK now with 2 champions from there, and they always stack the cards in England. But we're going to go over the co-main and the main event for this card, and we're going to start with the co-main event, which is Curtis Blaydes versus Tom Aspinall. This is actually a rematch from their fight about a year, maybe 2 years ago, where Aspinall did get hurt, but there was 15-20 seconds of that fight you can kind of go into, which in my opinion, it seems to be a common consensus on it, was that Blaydes was actually getting the better of those exchanges against Aspinall in their first fight.
Yeah, both of these fighters coming off of lots of wins. Tom Aspinall only losing to Blaydes, obviously, when he got hurt, and then Curtis Blaydes losing to Sergey Pavlovich. But that was the point where Sergey Pavlovich looked like an absolute monster, and he was one of the few people who was actually cracking him until he got hurt. But their first fight was pretty impressive, and me and him both think that Curtis Blaydes was actually getting the better of the exchanges. But it'll be interesting to see how this second fight goes, especially because we didn't get to see much out of that fight, but at least we got to see a little bit.
Yeah, and a lot of people believe, and I think he'd agree as well, that Blaydes is actually Aspinall's worst matchup. If you saw the Pavlovich fight with Blaydes, like you were saying, was cracking him, and it was just Pavlovich's power that ended up being the difference. Blaydes was even cracking him so hard that he didn't wrestle with him, which I think is the reason why he was just hitting him so hard. And Aspinall, who might as well be the heavyweight champion at the moment, just knocked out Pavlovich, and we haven't seen him since then. But Aspinall is probably one of the more well-rounded heavyweights we've ever seen. So with all that being said, there's not much to go into other than the predictions for this fight. I see Blaydes there. I think he does have a chance in this fight, but I'm thinking Tom Aspinall. I think he'll KO him. Blaydes, I wouldn't say he's a bad chance necessarily, but people, when they make contact with him clean, they are able to get him out of there. And unless Blaydes is able to grapple with Aspinall, which I would see there would be difficulty because of Aspinall's jiu-jitsu, I still don't even think he'll win it there. Aspinall has more ways to win, and I think Aspinall wins this one.
Yeah, I think Aspinall wins as well. We're undefeated, so we're essentially spoiling the fight at this point.
Yeah.
We literally have not gotten a prediction wrong. But yeah, I believe Tom Aspinall will win as well. Tom Aspinall, very good on the ground. I don't see Curtis Blaydes taking him down, but with Tom Aspinall's jiu-jitsu experience, his dad is a jiu-jitsu teacher. He's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was a little kid. I don't see Curtis Blaydes doing much damage to him at all on the bottom, if he even wants to go down on the ground with him.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the striking, I believe Tom Aspinall will knock him out. Obviously that first fight, Curtis Blaydes was getting a little bit better of the exchanges, but I think Tom Aspinall will be more prepared. And the thing with Tom Aspinall is that he knocks people out in the first round all the time. His average fight time, I believe, is still the shortest in UFC history. And there's nothing that makes me want to say that will change. I don't have any reason as to why that will change in this fight.
Yeah, Curtis Blaydes, I think his best chance is on the feet. And don't count him out on the feet. He actually is pretty solid on the feet. With that being said, someone who's awesome on the feet is our friend Leon Edwards. If you haven't seen my video on my YouTube channel, Rios, where we actually got to train with Leon, definitely check that out. But we also got to meet Belal, which is in our Abu Dhabi UFC card vlogs on this channel. So we've actually met them both. They're both nice people. But with this fight, Leon Edwards is honestly, I think, the best welterweight in the world, obviously being the champion. But I don't see many people beating him because I think the wrestlers who he fought already, Usman and Covington, were his worst matchups. Usman has... I thought he was a better version of Covington. I think Usman is a better version of Belal regarding striking, power, and pace.
Yeah, well, Usman has that pressure, and combined with the power, I think that's what gives Usman just an incredible pressure. It's different when someone like Belal, who doesn't finish anybody, comes at you versus Usman, who has, obviously I wouldn't really rank his hooks. He did drop Colby Covington with a left hook, but, Usman just has some really strong straights, and that's definitely different than facing someone like Belal, who just, it's different when you're not really fearful of the knockout. You're not fearful of the power. You're more likely to go in there and trade. With Usman, there was a point where he seemed invincible. Now it doesn't seem that way because he is coming off of a couple losses. But there was a point where Usman seemed invincible, and Leon Edwards was able to keep his range and outstrike him from distance, even though Usman was pressuring him consistently, and he had that power.
Yeah, and Usman also had a reach advantage on Leon, and Leon has a reach advantage over Belal. And Leon is so good at keeping distance, and we both love to talk about Leon's takedown defense. His takedown defense is one of the best in the UFC. A lot of people think that. But when me and him talk about takedown defense, we also incorporate the fighter's ability to get up. Leon showed it in both Usman fights. He also showed it in the Covington fight. He is very good at getting up, and that's a big part of takedown defense. If Belal gets him down, great, but that's only one step. He has to also get Leon, hold Leon there and do damage. So with Leon, he's been preparing for a lot of wrestlers. This is a common opponent for him. Leon has great kicks against southpaw and orthodox, so even if Belal wants to change stance, he's going to be in trouble. And Leon, like I said, the distance management, he's so good. And Covington showed that getting into the range where you can take him down is not an easy task.
Yeah, and Belal Muhammad coming off of a win versus Gilbert Burns. It was a while ago, so maybe the ring rust will hit him a little bit. But that fight, me and my brother were talking about this. Gilbert Burns got his shoulder and his neck absolutely destroyed in the first round.
He tore his delt and his trap. I have never seen that before. He was a one-armed fighter, yet no one brings that up.
Yeah, Belal was obviously able to outstrike him. He wasn't even able to finish him because Gilbert Burns literally had one arm. I mean, at that point, he should have just switched stance and just fired the jab from the right side. But, I mean, Gilbert Burns probably knows better than us. But, Belal obviously coming off of that win. He had a good win against Stephen Thompson. And obviously his best win was Sean Brady, who was undefeated at that time. And he seems like a very great prospect. Now, not so much, obviously, because he took a long break after that knockout. But that was his best win because Belal was able to put the pressure on and strike with him.
Yeah, with going into previous matchups, we've shown this on our channel before with the Taporia prediction, which we got right. It's even if they're not the top of the top, you have to analyze the way they beat them. I think that Belal's win against Brady was good. I think his victory against Thompson was kind of mid, kind of looking back at it.
Yeah.
I think his win against Burns was kind of mid in terms of how he performed. So that kind of feeds into the prediction that we're going to make.
Yeah, and then obviously their first fight as well.
Oh, yeah, the first fight.
Yeah, the first fight as well. Obviously the eye poke was a big story in that one, but we did have a little bit more to look at versus Aspinall and Blaydes because we actually had a complete round. And, when it comes to Belal, I think you're going to talk about this. Belal is more of a pressure fighter, and Leon Edwards was pressuring him just like he did with Colby. The same thing. Colby's a pressure fighter, and Belal is also a pressure fighter, but Leon was able to get him backing up, and Leon was just right on him. And he hit him with a lot of clean shots. Leon usually hits from range, but he doesn't pressure like that. I mean, that fight he hit him with a crazy head kick. He had another 1-2 combination that he was hitting Belal with, and he was quite clearly the winner of that first round. But we also have to remember that was a long time ago, and Belal was also coming in on short notice.
Yeah, but in terms of the mindset thing, Leon was very aggressive with Belal, and I believe that was because Leon feels like he's not on his level. And I don't think that's cocky. I think it's really confident when you go into fights with that kind of mindset. And Belal was very hesitant in that fight. There's a guy named Bedtime MMA who's a big Belal fan. He was like, it was 20-14 on strikes. Leon barely beat him on strikes. He only hit him with that head kick in that 1-2. I'm like, yeah, but those were really hard. And Belal didn't land much significant.
Yeah, I think he maybe landed like an elbow, and that was about it.
And that was about it. So you have to look at the quality of strikes. Leon's strikes were crazy. He was very aggressive. We don't see that side, but that's because Leon believes he's not on his level. Leon's the hometown guy in this fight. Leon's 32 in his prime. Belal's 35, almost 36. Everything is stacked toward Leon, but most importantly, the skill is also stacked toward Leon.
I guess that just leads to our predictions here. You can go ahead and go first because you already kind of.
My prediction is my best friend Leon Edwards by third round TKO.
Yeah, that's a good prediction. I believe Leon Edwards will win by convincing 49-46 prediction. 49-46 decision in the fifth round. When it comes to my reasoning, Leon Edwards has fought wrestlers the last few times, and top-tier wrestlers. Although he made Colby look crap, Colby is a top-tier wrestler. I mean, he just whooped Masvidal even worse than Usman whooped Masvidal. And then obviously he fought Usman, who is arguably one of the best welterweights of all time. And we've seen that Leon Edwards can fight in multiple ways. Against Usman, he's able to fight on the back foot, keep his distance, and hit him from range. And then we saw against Colby, which I think is more likely going to be kind of that sort of fight. Because as I mentioned earlier, Leon was able to back up Belal, a pressure fighter, just like he was able to back up Colby. So I see that being the same case here. Leon's going to back up Belal. Like you were saying, I think Leon believes that Belal's not on his level, and Leon was just going to pressure him and consistently hit him. And I wouldn't be surprised if the finish comes, but I see Leon easily outstriking him from distance.
Yeah, I'm going kind of off on a limb with the finish. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I think Belal, the way he's been talking, I think once the fight's not going his way, he's going to be more aggressive than Colby was, or Usman. Usman had a close fight, so he didn't, obviously go in and risk anything. Colby didn't want to, because he was afraid of getting in there, because Leon's a sniper. I think Leon's going to really hurt him with body kicks if Belal goes into orthodox. If he wants to go southpaw, he's going to kill him with those leg kicks. Leon's just so good from distance, and Leon showed in the Colby and Usman fight he can wrestle too, which I know Belal wouldn't be ready for, but I don't think Leon's going to go that route. But I think that Leon is going to just tag him from distance. Belal's going to struggle with that. Leon will land one shot that'll hurt him, and then he'll finish the fight that way. And Leon just has so much momentum. Leon doesn't think he's on his level. I think that's fair. I think because he showed it. Belal's being delusional. Belal's talking about how Leon quits and gets tired, but didn't incorporate, obviously, the elevation in that fight. And regardless, he won that fight by KO. So Leon shows that I think Leon has the mental edge, the momentum edge, the skill edge, and I think Leon's going to beat him.
Yeah, when it comes to the intangibles, Leon is bigger than him.
Yeah.
Leon is younger than him. Leon, I would argue, is more athletic than him. He has a little bit more, or not a little bit more, he has a lot more championship experience.
Yeah.
He fought more recently. I don't see how Belal beats him in this fight. I think Leon Edwards is going to be champion for a long time.
Yeah, the most athletic physique and still